Helmets on for safety. Welcome back to Random, and I'm out here today because my editor finally delivered on his promise to kick me out of the garage until I do a YouTube spot for what was promised back in episode 1, that being the differences between a cult and a religion. And I'm out here in front of this completely random and unaffiliated building to discuss a little bit about that. So today we're going to start off with the religion section. Now, Webster's defines a religion as a personal or institutionalized system of attitudes, beliefs, and practices centering around texts, legends, or myths, different religious texts, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, so on and so forth. At least that's for the main three of what are called the Abrahamic religions. Those religions centering around those descendants of Father Abraham, who had many sons. And it was good. Practices include rituals, sermons, festivals, feasts, trances, initiations, matrimonial and funeral services, meditation, prayer, music, art, dance, and public service. So things like helping out in soup kitchens, building homes for the homeless, that kind of thing. Public services, helping the needy. Modern religions started back in the 17th century, so that's when Martin Luther came in. You know, he was irritated with the way the Catholic Church was doing things, and he said, you know, maybe we should do something a little bit different than the standard dogma. And he and a bunch of his followers, a bunch of his fellow friars, I should say, got together and they said, all right, well, let's go ahead and break off and kind of do our own thing. But they all still kind of followed loosely to what the Catholic Church was doing. Big difference was you didn't have to pay for forgiveness. You simply went and prayed and hopefully turned away from whatever sinful behavior you were doing. That started back in the 17th century. Lutheran churches include, but are not limited to, Methodist, Baptist, Moravian, and I think the core Lutheran Church. I'd have to double check that to be 100% certain. But Catholic Church, Protestant, which was also known as the Lutheran churches. Again, the Abrahamic sections of Christianity, those of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, right? So Father Abraham had many sons, the first of which was Ishmael, the Ishmaelites, from which the Islam faith initiated. Of course, later on he had Israel, or Isaac, who came up with and helped develop Judaism, otherwise known as what the Hebrews and the Israelites practice today. All the way thousands and thousands of years ago, well more than 2,000 years ago. Well then, out of the tribe of Judah, from Abraham's initial 12, came Christ, which is, of course, the basis for Christianity. And of course, that started off basically as an underground religious movement right up until today, so it was an underground religious movement until Constantine. He adopted Christianity as the primary religion of the Roman Empire, and that's where we get the Roman Catholic Church from, right? So typically, religion centers, temples, churches, their architecture is meant to be welcoming and inspire awe, right? So you go to like a cathedral and it's beautiful, and it's designed to entice a specific response to awe about the particular religion or the center. Now, religions, at least the mainstream religions, they welcome outsiders to come in and study relics, texts, different historical sites of those religions, and basically question where the faith comes from. That's key. That's a very key difference between what is a cult and what is a religion. See, in cults, well, we'll get a little more into that. The point is, outside studies and outside researchers come into religious areas, particularly, let's say, the Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican. The Vatican has a specific area, a specific division of study for ancient relics, ancient art, ancient texts, and so on and so forth, right? Some religions don't. And we'll get into that. But then again, there's not those religions, parentheses there, you can't see it, but religions, they don't allow outsiders in to study things because they don't want their faith questioned. They don't want people asking questions about what is and why it is. And there's going to be quite a bit of that today too. But anyway, that is the basis. That is the basics of religion, at least as far as the United States government is concerned. Now, a religion will have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers worldwide, whereas the other section of this video, not so much. Now, let's see. That's all from my editor's notes, at least as far as what he was wanting for this particular section. So, and because he doesn't want me using his truck anymore, I'm going to have to walk to the next location. So that's going to take a minute. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Right. So we're here at our next location. Took me a little while to get here, and I only just got my breath back from all that walking, but I suppose it's a good thing because my editor's always telling me to get more exercise. Anyway, next part of our video is describing what a cult is and how you can recognize it. Now, a cult is newer, smaller, and has less organization than most of your mainstream religions. So things like, what's a good example of a cult? It'll come to me. Cults are secretive. They don't like a whole lot of people knowing exactly what it is they're up to. Meaning no outsiders are allowed to study relics or texts or other artifacts of the cult. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, cults don't like people questioning things about their beliefs. They view it as offensive. They view it as evil, shall we say. Temples, worship centers have features that make folks want to stay away. So things like really tall fences with spikes, really nice thick pillars, and so on and so forth. Hey, why does that sound familiar? I feel like I was standing in front of a building that had something like that earlier today. Anyway, the building behind us has none of that. Wonder why? Now, people in cults tend to have really odd behaviors, really odd superstitions, really odd ways of doing things, really off-the-wall stuff, like, say, I don't know, sequestering yourself on a yacht with a bunch of young boys and pretending that it's for a religious purpose. Gee, I wonder who did that. Now, anything that makes them question their beliefs is seen as evil. So if you go to, say, a cultist and say, hey, I don't think I should be taking this particular thing because my doctor says, and they say, no, you have to take this because I say it. Yeah, that's definitely cult-like behavior. Looking at you, Fauci. Anyway, a cult, like I said, is newer and smaller. So we're talking in age less than 200 years. So if a cult is if an organization or religion has been around for, say, I don't know, the better part of 150 years, not exactly a religion, and it's more cult-like, technically, even though they may or may not have tax-exempt status from the United States government. Let's see, not questioning doctrine. So that's things like, well, why do we have to dress up this way? Why are we not allowed to have coffee? Who is Lord Xenu? That kind of thing. So yeah, those are the key differences between cults and religions. Hope you learned a little bit about what we're talking here today. By the way, my editor asked me to specifically shout out a couple of people in their YouTube channels. So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And if you want to sit down and have a beer and listen to some good tunes, check out Beer and Song of the Day by Josh Baker. He's on YouTube. The link is in the description below. And if you want to get an idea of what team Them Damn Newt Boys Woo is inspired by, check out Cars and Cameras, also on YouTube. Their link is in the description below. And as always, keep it random.